What's up, everyone? My name is Sam. I'm your host, Inside with Sam Show. This is my beautiful wife in front of me, Reem Sankar.
Hi.
And I don't know if you're going to be able to see her on the cameras or not because her beauty kind of glares up the lenses. Those $10,000 lenses are not focusing right now. But we're on the show, so introduce yourself and,
Hi, guys. I'm Reem Sankar, the one and only Sam Sankar's wife.
And we're here to talk about some casual things. We've had a great marriage for 17 years. And, I wanted to also, help others in marriage and just talk about things about what they can do better to spice up and kick up their marriage life. And, like what can they do also to have a very healthy, strong marriage life? Because I feel like most people nowadays, they don't have a great marriage, and if it's a marriage, it's like on the rocks or it's failing. We get called a lot, you and I,
Right.
with people, about their marriages, and they look up to us because we've been married for 17 years and how we are with each other and how we are with our kids. But I feel like we don't really see that a lot in most people out there, that they don't have the time with their wife, they don't have the time for their kids, and they do a lot of other things besides focusing on their family, What, in your opinion, if you had to tell the women out there, what would you tell them how to keep the relationship with their
Well,
husband strong?
I mean, a
What
marriage.
would you give them? Like, what would you give them? What's your advice, basically, to give them?
For me, I think a marriage is based on, a foundation of, first of all, I think, God is very important
Yeah, I agree.
in your marriage,
Right.
Then there's love. That's, the next thing.
Right. The way you love me.
Respect.
Yeah.
You have to be fair with each other.
Right.
And I think like me and you have kind of like accomplished
All of that.
all
All
of
of that
that.
together.
I mean, we're not perfect. Nobody's
No,
perfect.
nobody's perfect. I agree. Nobody's
But
perfect. I agree with you. So for me, personally speaking, God is definitely, being that I'm a Muslim and I pray 5 times a day, and I always practice my religion, and I always stay close to to God. And
well, that keeps you like kind of like it keeps you in check.
it audits me
Yeah.
every single day.
It keeps you in check. It keeps
audits
me in check.
Right.
Like if any one of us think like, hey, let's go out and do this or that, or, let me go hang out with the girls and
Right.
leave my husband, my kids, and
No, I agree with you 100%. It definitely audits you, and I feel like with me being close to God and praying and doing the right thing and always pleasing Him and just always thinking of like, oh, I don't want to sin, I don't want to do this, and I don't want to do that. I want to make sure I do everything right. It definitely audits you, and it definitely keeps you in check with everything, not just your wife, your kids, your job, your everything. It keeps you honest. It keeps you clear. It keeps you focused. So that's definitely hands down the most important thing in life. That's the number one thing in life, is to be close to the Creator, without a doubt. The second thing, in my opinion, is to always have good energy with your wife and your kids. You always want to have time for them. You have to make time for them. You have to focus with them. You have to say, I love you to your wife. A lot of people don't even say, I love you to your wife. I'm sure you agree with that. We've seen it a lot where people don't even like say nice things to their wives, and they don't even give them a compliment. They don't even give compliments. Spouses don't give compliments a lot to each other, And I feel like compliments is very important in a marriage, because a woman, no matter what, wants to feel appreciative, And the only way she could feel like that is if the husband is continuously telling her compliments and how much he loves her and how much he appreciates her. Once in a while, to come home and bring in flowers. This little act of kindness can light up her entire day.
Right.
You agree?
Oh, I definitely agree. And, wives as well, like she knows her husband's favorite meal.
Right.
And she'll go and surprise him with his favorite meal. Or if she knows that he likes a certain cake from, a special bakery, she's going to go out and pick it up and surprise him.
Right.
It's like these little things. It's not about, materialistic things, going out and, doing extravagant things. It's
Right.
the little
It's the
things
little
that
things.
really matter the
It's the
most
little
that a
things.
lot of
I
people
agree.
forget.
I agree, and that's the thing with most of us. We need reminders. Even including myself. I'm not perfect. I need the little things, even though I'm the best husband in the world.
Oh.
But I these little things that definitely make a huge difference in the marriage. A lot of men out there. It's crazy. I came across this reel, and it shows basically women seducing their husband to leave what they're doing to come, be intimate with them. And I was like, all right, this is cool. And then most of the men that I seen, it's absolutely crazy how every single man in that reel, at least 6 of them, had a headset on and they were playing video games. And I feel like, bro, you're leveling up, in video games, but you're not leveling up with your wife. And that's just like you're praying 3, 4, 5 hours a day on video games, and they're not even spending that much time with their wife or kids or whatever. Something more beneficial than just the cyber world. And I have nothing against the
Right,
video
right.
games. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to, down
Well, it's
talk
about
anybody out there. It's
balance.
all good. You want to play video games, bro, for an hour, it's all good, But at least balance yourself. You
Yeah.
always got to give you got to make number one your wife and kids. You know what I mean?
Right.
But how do you feel about what I'm saying?
No, I agree. I think, it's kind of like because we like to cook, right?
Yeah, we love to cook. Definitely love our
If you
stomach.
look at marriage
Right.
as a recipe,
Yeah.
you have ingredients. You can put the worst ingredients, which is effort, in your
Yeah.
marriage.
Right.
You put that in your recipe, you're not going to come out with a masterpiece.
100%.
You have to put
I agree.
the
So true.
right amount of salt, the right amount of sugar, the right
Right.
amount, the perfect balance of ingredients
To make taste good.
to make something so special.
So special. I agree. And that's the thing with marriage. Most people, it's like what you just said with ingredients. Like, for example, chicken, most people, if you tell them you have to eat chicken every day, well, if you cook it the same, right, you're going to be like, oh, I'm sick of this. I need something else. But if you cook it differently every single time, you're not going to get sick of it. And that's the thing with marriage too. You cannot do the same thing all the time because people get bored. People get sick of something. They get like, okay, this is the same old thing. I need something different. So be different with your wife, with your husband. Every single day, try things. Go out to new restaurants for lunch, new restaurants for dinners. Try new adventures. Travel with each other. Do things with each other. Right? I mean, that's honestly that's what it's all about. You have to do new things with your spouse in order for you to keep moving forward and have a balanced, healthy relationship. You know what I mean?
Yes, I totally agree.
And then, another thing that I was thinking the other day is that the fact that our youth is so important to us, our children is so important to us. And I feel like, we're also victims. Nobody's perfect, but a lot of us don't pay attention to our kids. And, seeing your kids get, grow old so fast, like they go from 5 years old to 10 years old in tomorrow,
Yeah.
And it's a little scary because I see my beautiful daughter just becoming, into a little lady, and I'm like, hey, I'm not prepared for this. I don't want this right now. This is happening too soon. I want to keep my kids as babies. But it's very important to pay attention to the kids and spend time with them and always talk to them and be in their life as much as you
Right.
can.
Like you want to raise your kids and you want your kids to look up to you and feel like when you leave this world, you leave your legacy behind. Like your kids are gonna remember, oh, my mom or my dad did this, my mom or my dad did that, and like things that they admire. Like we
Right.
have to be their everything.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree with you. And, like with our kids, for example, they like to do certain things that we like. So it's crazy how the kids become exactly like the mother and father. And it's just completely mind-boggling to me that, your kids are a reflection of what you practice in the house.
Yeah.
So if you're yelling at each other and disrespecting each other, they're doing the same thing. But if you're nice to each other and you're saying loving words to each other, they do the same thing. And it's like a mirror image of what you are, what we practice and what we are as a married couple.
Right.
You know what I mean? And, for example, there's a lot of people out there, they don't discipline their kids. And most people out there, they think that disciplining kids is like you have
Hitting
to
them.
hit them or you have
Yeah.
to, do something crazy. You don't have to do that.
No.
It soft language with your kids and taking what they love away and rewarding them back with what they love
And leading by example.
is the only way to really, really, really lead
Because
them.
kids absorb everything.
They
They're
really
like a
do.
sponge.
They really
So
are.
whatever they see, they're going to mirror that.
Right. And that's how I feel with the whole kids. It's like we really have to pay attention to our youth, We have to pay attention to them because they're our future. And when you do the right thing and you pay attention to them and you talk to them properly and you treat them, nice, you have a better chance of raising real good quality people.
Right.
And that's another thing that we can talk about is quality people. There's not a lot of quality people.
Well, it's hard. It's
left.
hard to find.
I feel like it's very hard to find that quality person. And when you find that quality person, you got to hold on to
Cherish
them.
that.
You got to cherish them and just hold on to them and don't let go, because this world, what it's coming down to, and I know everybody out there can agree what this world's coming down to. It's coming down to less and less quality people. Like we lost our ethics. We lost our morals and values. There's not a lot of that around. You don't see a lot of that around, that old school mindset.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't have anything against anybody, but, you should always be that you should always practice morals and values and all that good stuff, because it makes a huge difference.
It makes great character.
And that's what it's all about. Character is very important.
Oh, yeah, it's very important.
How do you feel about character? What should one person have to, what is the greatest thing you can practice to have good character, besides obviously the religion part, because that really molds you, like we said earlier. But what else can you practice to have good character?
Definitely to be caring, to be considerate.
Consideration.
A lot of people are not very considerate. A lot
Yeah.
of people are very selfish.
Yeah. Consideration is such a big thing for us, you and I, and our family, because consideration, it changes your entire perspective and life. For example, consideration, when somebody takes time out of their life and they let you cross the street and they stop in their car. There's a lot of people that don't even say thank you. They don't even say, like, they wave their hand and say thank you.
Oh, they walk like so slowly.
And they walk so
the
slow. They
street.
have no consideration whatsoever. They walk so slow, and did not even a thank you. And the person in the car is looking at them like, really? I just let you go. I took time, even though it's only a minute, and you didn't even thank me. And this is called consideration. There's a lot of things that people don't practice in consideration world,
Yeah.
So consideration is very definitely important.
I think like we need to also lead as examples, So no matter how nasty people are, no matter, the way people's characters are, you always have to just be an example and never lose your character and never lower yourself because of the way somebody else acts.
Right. I definitely agree with that. I think, practicing good character can definitely change your entire life, whether it's with your wife, kids, neighbors, friends, family, anybody, job, anything. When you practice good character, it just brings good vibes, positive vibe, good energy. It just makes your life so much easier, so much better quality-wise.
Well, also, I think like something so important is when you're practicing good character, it's so important to surround your circle around people that bring the best out of you. Like you are who you hang out with.
100%. I agree
And
with that.
even if you think that you're not like that person,
Right.
little by little, you're going to start to pick up habits here and there.
Right. Right.
You know, so it's so important to surround yourself with people who bring the best out of you,
Who bring the best
who
out of
give
you.
you the best advice, who want the best for you.
Right, right. Who genuinely care
Right,
and treat you. You know, they put you on a pedestal and everything.
right,
Right. You know, it's important to be valued. Right. That's
right.
what it's all about. When people care about you, they value you.
Yes.
And if you have someone that doesn't value you, then that person, I'm telling you, you don't want to be in their life, because if you value them and that's not being reciprocated back, that person is not good for you. You should find somebody else that's going to value you, because that's you are value. You are valuable, and somebody else should value you.
Yeah, you have to know your worth,
I
you
agree.
know?
I agree. And finding that those people, I feel like it's just becoming slimmer and slimmer as time goes by. You
I
know.
mean, you still have your good share, you know, but
There's a
it's
lot of good.
hard. It's hard
Listen.
to
Without a doubt, there's
connect.
a lot of good people out there. There's a
Right.
lot of good people out there. Of course, that's without a doubt. But it's very hard to find good quality people.
And like we said before,
Yeah,
when you find it, you cherish
you
it
cherish
and
it
you
and you hold
don't
on
let it
to it.
go.
I agree. And the thing, when we went to our previous vacation, it's crazy how when you travel with someone, how you see their true character and their true colors and who they really are. Like, for example, you know, we just went with some friends that were very, very close and dear to our hearts from before, but we connected with them on a level that I never thought that we would connect.
Even our kids.
Our kids love
Yeah.
them, you know, we all love them. And it's just, you know, this is where we say quality people. It's so hard to find, you know.
Right.
And we connected with them on so many levels. It was truly amazing. So one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about, which is going to be a very funny subject, is that, you know, we always go out to eat, right? And when we go out to eat, the waiters or the waitresses, they act like they're doing us a favor, right? And it's crazy because they give you this attitude, and you're sitting there, you're just trying to have an agreeable meal. You know,
Right.
you want good service, and you know, you want to give them the 20% that they deserve. Of course, they have a livelihood that they have to make. So giving them their tip is not a problem. But it's absolutely crazy what work ethics, especially after the pandemic, has become. Because work ethics after the pandemic, I feel like it just went to the bottom of the
Gutters.
gutters, you know? And most of the waiters and waitresses today, when we go and we have a meal together, they're nice to you only in the end, not in the beginning. And they're nice to you in the end for a reason, because they want that 20% tip. And that's the only time they're like nice to you and they want to start a conversation all of a sudden. I'm like, bro, you were like completely, you know, rude to me, and you weren't even wanting to have a conversation with me. Now all of a sudden you want to be nice because it's time to pay.
Right.
You know, how do you feel about that? Like work ethics in general after the
Oh,
pandemic,
yes.
everything after the pandemic just became completely crazy.
Right. Right.
You agree with that?
Yeah, I agree. I
How do you
agree.
feel about service when you go to restaurants?
I
Don't you feel the
mean, you
same
know,
way?
some places you have to go like to the high end places for you to get top notch service, you know, like very expensive.
But even the high end places, we've been to high end places, you and I, and we didn't get the best service, or even service that's like, all right, you know, this person is in. And let me tell you, to all the waitresses and all the waitresses and all the waiters out there, it's so crazy how you can maximize your income by just being nice and being kind and being genuine when you're servicing someone. It's absolutely amazing. You have to make that person, seriously, you have to make that person shy, embarrassed enough not to give you not just 20%, but more. There's waiters and waitresses out there. They gave me such great service, and they were on top of me, and they were so kind and so nice to talk to genuinely, that I didn't want to just give them 20%. I
Yeah.
wanted to give them more than 20%.
But
You
you
know what I
see,
mean?
this is how you basically kind of just become like a hustler in life, you know? You have to be the best you can possibly be in whatever that you do.
Right, right.
You
I
know,
agree.
like if you're going to waitress, you have to be the best waitress
I agree.
in that restaurant. You know, like if you're going to whatever you are going, wherever you are, you have to be the best at it.
Oh no, 100%. Because even like my dad, for example, he told me. I know you want to say something, but my
No,
dad.
I was gonna say that's what we try to teach our kids.
Right, right.
Yeah.
No, that's 100%. My dad told me, whatever you decide to do in life, just make sure you're the best at it.
Oh, yeah.
No matter what it is, make sure you're the best at it. And I didn't realize it when I was young because, when you're young, it's one ear out the other. Right? Everybody has that problem when they're young. But as you get older, you appreciate the words that your father and mother tell you, right? So it's so true. It's so important to be the best at whatever you do. It makes so much of a difference. The waiter and waitress, if they just burn a little bit more calories and they just put more efforts,
Just to even just
and
smile.
they become salespeople. They tell you, hey,
Right.
you should try this on the menu. We have
Right.
specials. It's amazing. I mean, if you put me as a waiter in a restaurant, I'm selling you the whole menu, and I'm going to make sure you give me a 50% tip, not a 20% tip. And this is what I'm saying. It's sad because waitress and waiters out there, they have a livelihood. They have responsibilities at home, and they have bills that come every single month like a clockwork, and they should really take that serious.
Yeah.
You know?
And listen, let's say the waiter or the waitress is having a bad day.
Yeah.
Right? They're
Yeah.
in a bad mood. A lot of people use whatever they're going through in their life and they project that to other people. And that's not fair.
Not fair at all.
Like whatever you're going through is understandable. Like everybody goes through hard times.
Right.
But you shouldn't ruin your whole day, ruin your whole mood and somebody else's mood
Right.
and make things miserable.
A lot of people do that. We're victims of it ourselves. We're not perfect. And to be honest with you, I'm sure some people out there heard this, but if you had $24 in your bank account and $1 went missing or they took away $1, are you going to throw away the $23? No, you're not. So you have 24 hours out of the day. If you lose 1 hour over nonsense, don't throw away 23 hours and just waste a whole day over 1 hour. Learn how to, move to the next step.
Right.
And not hold on to things,
And ruin everything else because of the thing that you went through.
Right, right. And that's what I feel that happens a lot, nowadays. One of the things that I wanted to talk about is that women and men, while they're married, right, I've noticed that they look at other women and men, whether it's a TV or whether it's a woman in a bikini. Now, you're married. It's absolutely crazy how I see men, especially when I'm with them as a, guy's night out or whatever the case may be, And I'm not saying this is in my circle, but a lot of people out there, they'll look at women and they're married. So I go up to them and I'm like, bro, you're looking at a woman and you're married. Would you like it if your woman looked at a guy? No, you wouldn't, would you? So why are you doing it? What makes you, what gives you that, what gives you that right to do that? And your woman can't do that. And it's like absolutely absurd to me. How do you feel about that?
That's, we spoke about being fair in your marriage. And this is one of the foundations in your marriage. Like if you don't want something to be done to you, you shouldn't do it to somebody else. And if you don't want your wife to flirt or look at other men, you shouldn't do that to her.
No, but there's a lot of people out there, whether it's a woman or a man, that mostly men, they say, well, she's a woman. I'm a man. I can do these things, and she can't because she's a woman. And I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? That's
It's a
crazy.
double standard.
That's a double standard, and that's not cool. You would definitely go crazy if your woman looked at another guy or spoke to him or did something to tick you off in that sense of jealousy or whatever you want to call it. But it's okay for you to do it. That's just one of the things that I was talking about, and it doesn't make sense to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
I also think that people should take their life very serious and spend time very wisely because your life is like a tree. And if you spend it wisely, as your life being like a tree, your branches signifies months and your leaves signifies days. And if you lose that leaf out of your tree, that leaf is gone. That's never
That
going to
time
come
doesn't
back.
come back.
That time doesn't come back. And you have to spend your time wisely, and you have to always train yourself on doing things that is very, very positive and things that are going to be beneficial to you versus like you wasting your life on whether it's alcohol or it's gambling or whether it's nonsense
Or
things that
just
you get
losing
nothing.
time with your family, and just in general.
Right.
You know, like a lot of people spend so much time with work that
With
they
work.
forget to kind of balance and spend time with their wife and their kids.
Yeah, I agree with you. They spend a lot of time with work. There's a lot of people that are workaholics and they don't like to come home to their wife and kids. It's crazy. And, they did it to themselves. They're the ones that put themselves there. But there's also people that, they don't like to do things that make sense in their life. They always want to take paths of like friendship or NFL. For example, nothing against the NFL. Football is all cool with me and sports is all cool with me. But man, like Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night, I know men that literally would filter their entire kids and wife, put them on standby just for their Sunday night or Monday night or whatever football. And their wife, they're not really cool with it, and they should work on balancing, like we said earlier.
Right.
How do you feel if I was always watching football on a
Well,
Sunday
listen, I
or
think
Monday
you
or
also,
Thursday?
it's all about balance.
Right.
If you're constantly glued to the TV and, your kids want to come and talk to you, you're like, hey, like get out of here. I can't listen to you right now. It creates a certain energy in the house, and it kind of takes away from the happiness, from the time that you spoke about. Like, time is like a tree.
Right. Right.
So you shouldn't take certain things in your household or certain things in your life for granted, because you're not going to get that time back.
No, I agree 100%. It's very important to balance, like we talked earlier. And it's okay to watch a football game. I'm not saying it's not. I'm not
But when it becomes your life,
right.
On a Sunday or a Monday or a Thursday,
Right. When it becomes your all, basically,
Right.
and nothing else matter, that's when it's a problem. But when you balance it, like you said, things flow in your life much better.
right?
A lot of people, I feel like they don't say the word "I love you," whether it's to their son, their daughter, their mother, their father. They don't use that word a lot. Some people think that you have to know someone so well to say "I love you." And some people think that "I love you" means I have to be intimate with you. No, just because I say "I love you" to you doesn't mean intimacy or anything else. I'm a human that loves people, and I can love you if I want to. If I choose to see someone and they're very nice and they're outgoing and they're cool and they have all the good characteristics that makes me like feel good energy wise, I'd be like, man, I love you. You're a great guy. You're so cool. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. How do you feel about people saying that word or not saying it enough, to their
Well,
wife?
I
or
think
anything?
not saying it enough.
Right.
We can kind of just get busy or like used to certain things in our life, where saying "I love you," it's like, it's so important. Oh, I messed up.
It's okay. Don't worry about it.
But yeah, I feel like we don't say it enough.
Right.
And
Right.
I mean, especially in like marriage or whatever.
With kids, with
With our
marriage, with friends,
kids.
with mother, father, neighbor, anybody.
Yeah.
People don't say it. People don't say the word "I love you," and it's important for you to let people know that, man, you're loved.
You're special.
You're special.
To me.
To me, you're valuable to me. And the
Yeah.
only way sometimes people need a reminder, is to feel like you're valuable. And
Right.
when you express your feelings to them by saying, "Hey, I love you. You're a great guy," that doesn't mean that hey, I want to, have sexual intercourse with you. Like, just say it. It's okay to say I love you to people. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
So one of the subjects I wanted to talk about is if you don't have anything good to say, don't say it. Trust me, it makes a huge difference in your life. It really does. It will make your life so much different in so many ways. If you have nothing good to say, just bite your tongue, hold back, pause, and just smile. And that's another thing that we can talk about, smiling. And if you have nothing good to say, don't say it. Smiling is a charity, you know? When you smile at your enemy, it breaks that ice automatically, smiling. How do you feel about smiling and how do you feel about, what I just said earlier?
Well, it's about character.
Right.
This is what it all comes down to is
Good
smiling,
character.
being kind, not putting your not being kind. Oh, I just messed up.
Oh, you're fine. You're good.
But yeah, this all comes down to, having a good character
Right, right.
and being kind.
But do you agree that smiling makes a big difference in life? When you smile all the time, it just sends this energy out of nowhere. Like, I swear to you, I had this craziest moment when I went to court for a traffic ticket. I'm sitting there and I'm just smiling at the judge. The judge paused everything. This is a true story. He paused everything that he's doing. He paused the trial, looked at me and says, "Do I know you?" And I'm like, "I don't think so, Your Honor." And he's like, "I feel like I know you." And I'm like, wow. I'm like, the power of smile. When you smile, it gives that energy. It sends good signals, just good character, good things, If you get into a fight with your wife or your husband, or you get into a fight with anybody or an argument, or it could be anything, your neighbor's mad at you. When you smile at them, it breaks all of that negative, feelings and grudges or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
How do you feel about if you have nothing good to say, don't say it? What is your thoughts on people, biting their tongue? How do you feel about it?
I mean, that's kind of tough because and these things you kind of get tested with.
Right. There are certain moments that you just can't. You just want to blow up.
And it's tough.
It's very hard.
It's very tough
very
to
hard
control
to contain yourself at your boiling point.
But when you do, you get the most amazing results.
You really do.
Because you think more clearly and
you think more clearly and you actually become a better person by biting your tongue and not saying anything bad. And that goes back to the character, It's very important, if you have nothing good to say, to practice. It's not easy. It's not like you're going to do it overnight, It's very hard. It really is very hard to do it.
Yeah.
But when you practice the art of biting your tongue and holding back on when you have something bad to say, you say, nope, you know what? I'm not going to say it. I'm just going to hold back because it's not going to end up good. It's going to end up ugly.
It never ends up well.
It makes a big difference.
It never ends up well.
It never ends up well. You make things worse.
And you just make yourself look so bad.
You make yourself look bad. Even if you're right, you could be 100% right. You have all the right in the world.
Right.
But once you say bad things, you automatically look like the victim.
Yeah. Well, you jump out of your character.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I just think that although it's a very hard not to jump out of your character in certain situations, but you kind of just going back to gamers, you just cleared all levels when you bite your tongue.
You automatically look like the bad guy. So, giving advice to parents, if you had to give advice to parents, mother or father, what would you give them? Me, I feel like the father is always, not to sound sexist or anything, I feel like we're all equal 100%. There is no difference between a man and a woman. They each have their own role, and they're very important in their role. So this is very important for the people to know that men and women are definitely equal, and they have their role.
Yeah.
And I feel like when a man as a father husband does his part, the woman does her part, her role, it the house becomes amazing.
Yeah.
Underneath your roof, it becomes just amazing. Your kids, what if I had to give advice to most parents out there, I would honestly just be like, be the best of you. That would be my advice. If I had to give advice to all the parents out there, mother, father, I would say be and practice the best version of you. Be the best version of you. Because let me tell you something, when you are the best version of you, you are a reflection on them. They automatically come out, they automatically see you and they learn from you just being you. Is would you agree on that as
Oh
far as like
yeah.
the just being a role model basically as an example,
Well,
leading by
that's what
example?
we are as
How do you feel about leading by
parents.
example?
That's what we are as parents. Like, your kids are going to look at everything that you do.
Right.
So automatically they're going to follow into your footsteps
Mm-hmm.
and kind of like mirror you.
I agree. I agree. Leading by example is so important. Most people think it's about preaching, and people think it's about teaching and preaching and books and oh, let me send my kid to this so they could learn this. No, they're not going to learn better than what's under the roof. I swear to you, nobody can teach their kids what the mother and father can teach them just by being the best version of them. If you practice good character and you practice how to be a great woman, such as yourself, let's say, and how I can practice to be a great man in every, way possible, my kids, our kids, they look at it and they say, wow, I want to be like dad or I want to be like mom. They don't, they do everything nicely. They talk nicely to each other. And that's another thing that I have to tell you. If your daughter is raised in a home where, we're yelling at each other and screaming and using bad words with each
Right.
other, she's going to expect that. When she gets married, she's going to look for a guy that
Well, she's
disrespects
going
her
to think that it's
and she's
normal.
going to think that it's normal.
Yeah.
And that's not normal. If you treat your daughter, your wife, if you treat your wife very well and with respect and love and passion, that's what she's going to expect from whoever she's going to marry.
Yeah.
Right? How do you feel about that?
Yeah. I agree.
You agree?
Oh, yeah.
So one of the things I wanted to talk about is that when people out there are for example, for me, how I audit myself, how I would audit myself as a husband or a father or a man, I say to myself, would I want my daughter to marry a guy like me? Now, if your answer is yes from your heart, because nobody in the world wants the best for his daughter like a mother and father
Yeah.
would. So for me, I audit myself and I say, would I want my daughter to marry a guy like me? And if that answer is yes, then man, you're a rock star. You're doing great. Continue on what you're doing. But if your answer between you and yourself is no, then audit yourself. Look back on what you're doing wrong. Are you cheating? Are you gambling? Are you doing things, that's not cool with your spouse? Then you have to go back to it and you have to correct that because you wouldn't want your kid to marry somebody that's the bad version of you. Right?
Right.
How do you feel about that as a woman and as a wife? If you have a son, our son, would you want him to marry a woman like you? How would you audit yourself, or how do you feel about that?
For me, I think I can always better myself.
Right.
It's tough because I don't think anybody's perfect. Everybody, nobody's perfect. But when you can understand and you can see the things that you're doing wrong is a blessing, and you can change that.
And there's a lot of people that don't see what they're doing is wrong or right.
Right.
There's people
And that's
out
scary.
there. It's very scary. It's absolutely amazing how people are blinded to what they're doing.
Yeah.
You tell them, hey, what you just did is not cool. And they're like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, bro, are you kidding me? Like, you have the common sense. How are you not using your common sense
It's
that
like
what
they're
you just
just
did? They're just
blinded.
completely blinded to the
Right.
truth. And it's like they don't see it anymore. They don't, maybe because their character has been so infected with the worldly, things that what the worldly what this world has to offer, basically, whether it's friends, video games, drinking, whatever it is. They got so infected from that, and they forgot what really
Well, you
matters
get
in life.
used to it. You get used to your surroundings. It's kind of like perfume.
Right.
You put perfume on and then you stop smelling it. So it's the same thing with, sometimes your actions. You get so used to doing things that you don't
You get
realize.
immune to it. You don't
Yeah.
see it anymore. I agree. I agree. But how can an individual see what they're doing is wrong? Is that a gift, or is that something that you have to practice to get? Or is
I
that just,
think
I mean, for me,
also,
I think it's common sense for me, for example, I feel like it's common sense, but for a lot of people, that's probably not
I
common
feel like
sense.
a lot of people kind of have to let their guard down. It takes a lot for you to kind of just lower your pride and take criticism.
And pride is, let me tell you, that's the ultimate killer. Most
It's
people
very hard for people to put their pride
in
down.
any type of, relationship, pride is just a
It's a
biggest,
killer.
it's a biggest cancer. You should not have pride, especially with your loved ones, or somebody that you care about. Always lower your pride. Believe me, if you always have your pride up and your wall up, nothing good comes out of that. Learn how to lower your pride, because it makes a huge difference for you and your loved ones in your life.
Well, a lot of people don't like, kind of like on YouTube. Nobody really understands or knows what you really went through in life
Right.
to be who you are, you know?
It's a very, very touchy subject for me, but let me tell you, my life was a roller coaster. It hasn't been very easy at all.
A lot of people, I don't mean to cut you off, but a lot of people think that, they see success. So they
Yeah.
label
Right,
you
right, right.
and they don't know what you or I have been through
Oh,
to
yeah.
get where we are.
I mean, all they see, like you said, is success, and that's what people want to see. They just want to see the shell on the outside. Nobody wants to see the inside. And when you tell them, only people that want to listen to what what you've been through on the inside is the ones that really care. But
Or the ones that try to better themselves and learn.
right, right, I agree. So for me, growing up as a kid, 6 months old, being born in Syria, third world country, coming to the States when I was 6 months old. And then after that, my mother and father, I guess they didn't get along, and they just didn't work out for them. So at 6 years old, my dad decided to send us back to his mother and father's house, which was back in Syria, because he couldn't afford to keep us. Things were tough. It was me, my brother, and my sister, and three of us just with my dad, because my mom left us, basically, or
He's a single dad.
or he's a single dad. He shipped us over to basically Syria, and we were there for about 5-6 years, I want to say. So we spent it with my grandparents, and being there was a blessing, and it was tough, because it was a blessing because we were with my grandparents. They were great. We had a great time, but it was also tough because we didn't know the Arabic language, and going to school and, learning the Arabic language, and people making fun of you that you don't know how to talk Arabic because you came from an English, background. They're like, oh, so that was very tough. And then when we came back here, we had to start all over again with new school, and we had to start all over again with friends and everything. So coming back here, I was about 12, 13 years old, and I had to start grammar school. And from grammar school, I went to high school. And from high school, I graduated with nobody showing up at my graduation, which kind of like put a scar on me, because, I saw every single kid out there taking pictures with their mother and father. Me, I don't have a father or mother to take pictures with. I didn't know my mom until I was like a teenager almost. And when I finally got close to my mom, it was great. We had a great relationship. I still have a great relationship with her. She's a She's a wonderful person. My dad is also in my life. They're both in my life. They're both in my life, and I'm blessed to have both of them.
Right.
And you know, life is not easy. I've had a lot of jobs out there. I've done like almost every job out there. That's how many jobs I've had, I swear.
You're a jack of all
And
trades.
a jack of all trades. So we opened up a limousine company. I opened up a personal training company. Then I went to become a bouncer, and I started my own security, you know, with my team. And then from there, I got into the car business. I got into the sheriff department. From the car business is when the entrepreneurship really kicked off. You know, when you and I got married in 2008, we opened up the car dealership, the used car dealership,
Yeah.
and then from there it just became other opportunities like the restaurant and bigger car dealerships, and you know, more success and more stories. And now we have the construction business, and we are crypto traders, and we're big on crypto and investments and all types of stuff in real estate, and it's pretty cool, you know. And now we're about to open our gym, so it's pretty exciting, you know, things to do.
Right. Well, your past kind of is who you learn from your past. A lot of people get stuck in their past and they kind of get traumatized with the things that they've been through. Like, how would you give somebody who's traumatized?
There's a lot of that's a very, very good, like, you know, subject to talk about, trauma, right? There's a lot of people out there that are traumatized and they just can't move forward.
Right.
And if I had to give like advice, honestly, I've had a lot of trauma in my life. I had the worst childhood. I lived in a car for 6 months. We didn't have, you know, food or anything like that. We were poor. I've had a very, very tough childhood because I had multiple stepmothers to deal with, and that wasn't easy for me or my sister or brother. But if I had to give advice, honestly, you just can't keep dwelling over the past. You really can't live in your past. If you keep living in your past, it's not gonna bring any benefit to you. You just have to learn how to just get
Let it
over your
go.
past. You just have to let things go. Don't hold
Right.
on to it. Like, what's the point of holding on to something that you can't control? You know,
Well, it
it's over
sets
and
you
done with.
back in life.
It really does.
And you can't appreciate the beauty in life.
Right.
And all the amazing things that life has to offer when you're constantly living in your own bubble.
Right, right. And that's what it's all about. You just can't hold on to things. You can't, you know, hold on to grudges too. And, you know, like, don't be a loser and just blame your father, your mother, your this, your that. Like,
Because,
just
you know,
forget
all these
about
things
it.
don't
Just
hurt
forget
other
about it.
people.
It doesn't.
It doesn't make a difference for other people.
It really
it's
doesn't.
ruining you. It's
Right.
ruining the way you feel.
Right.
It's hurting you.
It really does. It only hurts you. It's not going to hurt anybody else. And actually, it does hurt people, because when you have this wall up and you have this grudge from the past that you're carrying on top of your shoulders, you're different with other people. You're not as genuine, as nice, as kind, as pure with other people. So when you're carrying your past on your shoulders and you keep, you know, dwelling over your past, it's not going to make your future bright and beautiful and you know, sunshine and rainbows.
Right.
You're always going to have this trauma with you.
Like,
And that's
everybody
not-
goes through their grieving process, or, you know, their moments. Like, everybody gets in their moments.
I got to be honest with you. I'm very thankful for the past that I've had.
Right.
And I believe that I am the man I am today
Yeah.
because of my past. If I didn't experience all the trials and tribulations and all the problems and everything that I've been through, it wouldn't make me the man that I am today. So
Well,
this is the right way of looking at things, right? Instead of like sitting here and saying, "Oh my God, you know, I had a rough past. Now I'm miserable and I'm just going to be a bad person and mean to everybody in my life." This is just making it worse. It doesn't make sense.
Well, you know, when you look at most entrepreneurs and successful people, they all have a story.
They all have a story, and they all have a rough past, and they all, you know, failed so
and
many
they've
times.
overcome. all of that
And
to be who they are today.
absolutely. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Right.
Everybody knows that. But the problem is nobody practices it. If something doesn't kill you, it just makes you stronger. And just be strong about it and just move forward, you know?
Sometimes it's hard for people to say, it's easy for us to say you have to be strong.
Right.
So telling somebody else that is a
Yeah.
little tough
It
because
is. It's very tough.
it's just a lot of people, kind of just get in there.
I agree. There's people out there that are weaker than others, and there's people that are stronger than others, and that's just normal, you know.
Right.
But I guess what really, really helps is having
Surround
support.
yourself. Yeah.
Is having the right support. You know,
Right.
if you have the right circle, and that circle that you're surrounding yourself around,
A positive circle.
a positive circle can definitely affect all of this.
Right.
If you're surrounded around a person that's dragging you down to drugs or bad things like that, for
Or
example,
just misery.
misery. If you're surrounded around misery, you're going to become miserable.
Right.
No matter who you are, you could be
Yeah.
the toughest. You could be the toughest person in the world. But if you're surrounded around misery, I agree with you. You're going to be miserable. So
Right.
the best thing to do when you have a rough pass and you're not the strongest person in the world, because it's okay. It's not it's not like the world's going to end because you're a little weaker than others. It's okay. People are weaker. Doesn't mean
Or you
nothing.
have a harder time to heal.
Or if you have a
Yeah.
harder time to heal, some people have deeper wounds than others, and it's
Right.
okay to do that. You can move forward by surrounding yourself around the circle that values
That
you,
uplifts
that
you.
uplifts you, that really care about your well-being and not so much about just a good time. Everybody is always there for a good time, but let me tell you something. When there's rough waters, you'd be surprised how many people drop you. So make sure you surround yourself around people that are there for you in rough waters more than the good times. It's very important to have that kind of circle in your life.
Oh, yeah.
You agree?
Yeah. We've had our share of, things that we went through. We lost our kids.
Right.
And in that moment, of course, you're going to grieve. You're going to be sad.
Mm-hmm.
But it's amazing how God just sends people in your life
Right.
to just uplift you,
Right.
to help you through that whole process,
Mm-hmm. To make it easy on
to
you.
make it easy for you.
Right. And
And those are the people that have helped you
Yeah.
through these moments are the people that you value.
But I got to tell you something though. There is people out there that when they lose a kid or they lose a loved one, it's definitely one of the hardest things.
Oh, my
And,
God.
man, I don't wish that on my enemy, but when you lose a loved one, there's a lot of people out there that handle it differently.
Yeah.
And I feel like they handle it in the wrong way because, going to a bar and just, taking one shot after another, trying to cope with your, loss, it's definitely not the way.
You're not solving anything.
You're just making things
and you're
worse.
not healing.
You're not healing properly.
You're making your life worse and
Right.
you're making yourself unhealthy.
But when you surround yourself around the right people, or if you don't have people, what do you do? What do you do? What would you tell to people
I
out there?
think your relationship with God is number one.
100%.
And you can have all the people in the world, but God is the one who's going to send those people to you.
Mm-hmm.
God is the one that's going to hold your hand and help you through it because he's the one that put you in this situation. So he's the one that's going to help you.
Right.
And that's what really helped me.
Right. So even if you don't have anybody at all out there, let's say, so some people don't have nobody out there, but they should
yourself.
remember that they have God.
Yeah.
That God loves you and God is there and God is going to be with you and he's going to carry you through this rough waters.
Yeah.
And that's important for
And
people to know.
nothing sad ever lasts forever.
Right.
You know, it's not a forever process. Eventually, you're going to heal.
All wounds heal eventually.
Oh, yeah. It just takes time.
No matter how deep and how bad the wound is, it will heal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was a great time.
It was definitely a great time. So thank you guys for listening. It was a great time today with my beautiful wife, Reem. And
Thank
I'm
you.
looking forward to doing many of these podcasts. And we're
Right.
going to have some exciting guests with us.
Topics.
We're going to have some cool topics. But I can't wait till we do some more, some more guests so we could have a good time with it.
And just talk about real life,
Right, right.
you know?
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of people need to hear, you know, just
Just
reminder,
positive
just
vibes.
positive vibe. That's it.
Yeah.
Positive vibe and just reminders.
Yeah.
We all can use reminders and positive vibes in our life.
Right.
All right, peace.